Welcome to Activations with JJ Ascension School episode part 31. In today's episode, we will be discussing a few excerpts about our galactic family from the book The Lost Lands, A Magical History of Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon by author Lucy Cavendish. And speaking of Lemuria, we will also be hearing a soundbite from a channeled session I did with Queenie of Reiki and Flow and Flo Karuna of Starseed Codes. We were sitting down and we were preparing energetically for our upcoming Golden Age of Lemuria conference, and some incredible downloads came through. We channeled them from our guides, and I'm excited to share that with you too. It all ties together. It's all a beautiful, harmonious bunch of information that wants to come through in this episode, and I'm excited to dive right in. Hello, and welcome to another Ascension School episode. If you are new to the podcast and you are not familiar with this series, in these particular episodes, I tend to refer to resources that are written by other people, maybe websites, blogs, books, concepts that were brought through and channeled by other very gifted light workers, and just kind of let you know my feelings on them, what things were synchronicities for me, what resonated with me. And also, I'm just here to expose you to books and resources that I think are very valuable on your ascension journey. And the book that we'll be discussing today is called The Lost Lands, A Magical History of Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon. And the book was written by a channeler, an oracle. She calls herself a witch, and her name is Lucy Cavendish. She resides in Australia. Some of you might be familiar with her. There are lots and lots of topics and things that come through in this book. It's a beautiful kind of narration of her experiences. She also interviewed people who have had past life regressions to some of these times, and she puts the puzzle pieces together really well. She weaves everything together in such a great way with a lot of flow. And one of the things that I'd love to do today, because tackling a book like this can be quite intimidating, but I just want to bring through for you some of the things that were very resonant for me, including but not limited to simply the fact that the concepts of Atlantis, Lemuria, and Avalon all kind of being matched up to each other and being connected is one of the biggest things for me. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a while, this completely ties into an episode I did, I believe in December, where Spirit came to me and talked about the 1212 portal of Atlantis and the fact that the threes were so important. And then when I was presented with that idea, the concept of the three civilizations, essentially what came through was Atlantis connected to the Arcturians, then Lemuria connected to the Pleiadians, and finally Avalon connected to the Andromedans, and they were all sort of coming together energetically, and we are starting to be awakened to them. That is exactly what this book is about. She talks a lot about those of us who have lived in those time periods and in those different cultures and vibrations, essentially is what they are, and how we carry memories, maybe sometimes trauma from some of the lower vibrational timelines. And those of you, again, who have been following me for a while know that that's a big topic for me. In fact, I spent all of December and January working with people through group and individual past life regressions in Atlantis to help them clear and release and heal any of the lower vibrational energies from those timelines and connect with the higher vibrational Golden Age Atlantis, which was so beautiful. Oh my goodness. You can actually get the playbacks to those past life regressions. If you check out the links down below in the comments here, you can see that I have playbacks to those. You can participate in those after the fact. They were just incredible. Not only that, but I also did recently an Avalon past life regression that just blew my mind. Wow, it was so powerful to journey to Golden Avalon and to connect with the energies of Merlin, the Lady of the Lake. We had dragons come in. We had King Arthur and Queen Guinevere, and they were representing the divine masculine and the divine feminine and then sacred union. Oh my goodness, I could go on forever. That particular past life regression was so impactful. And I know that a lot of people that were in that container gave me feedback and just talked about how it took them a couple days to integrate. So to say that this has been a focus and that I'm passionate about all of these particular ages is an understatement. It's an understatement. But what I thought I would do is just kind of walk you through some of my favorite parts of the book, reading some quotes, some different excerpts. And then I always like to drop in with my personal comments and, my sort of twist or spin on what was being said, as well as my personal experiences that relate and are confirmed by what she said. So I'm going to let you know below the page numbers that I'm referring to these from so that you don't have to worry about that here in just the audio. And if you get the book, you can go back and say, okay, where did JJ get that from? I want to go ahead and start off. There's a portion at the very beginning, a little section called Attuning to Galactic Consciousness. And that is something I am absolutely in alignment with because that is my biggest thing, is introducing people to galactic beings, their galactic families. For instance, I'm just about to do a special channeled question and answer monthly gathering. This is something new for May, but I am planning on addressing the topic of our Starseed family and our Starseed guides in that first one that I do in May, where essentially I will have people come into the Zoom gathering and they will bring their questions. And then I have set the intention to channel any number of beings who wish to step forward and enlighten us about those galactic races. And at the very end, I'm actually going to be offering 3 public readings, 3 just mini readings for people who are in that Zoom meeting. You can find out more about that below. But again, it is something I am very, very focused on right now. She talks about different races, including but not limited to the Sirians, Pleiadians, Ashtar Command, Arcturians, and then she talks about the Arcadians, and I'm really curious to know if any of you have heard of the Arcadians. Also, the Hathors and the Venusians. I've worked with almost all of them, except I just don't think I have with the Arcadians, so I'm excited to see what you say about the Arcadians in the comment section below here if you're listening to it on YouTube. Let me tell you what she says about the Arcadians, and I'll see if it sort of resonates with you. These beings are towering, around 2 meters tall. They are composed, to my eyes and senses, of light, primarily white and pale violets. They are enormous, are like us, in that they have a large head, torso, arms, and legs, and they are very, very kind. Light sort of spills from and around them like a fountain that is constantly moving within a fluid form that is identifiable. They have rather large heads, a little like they are wearing helmets of this unique light. They bear a strong resemblance to other teachers' description of angels. End of quote. So I kind of, as I read that, I was like, have I met them before? Because sometimes when I'm in a gathering or I'm in a one-on-one session, I'll say, this is a being that I don't know the name of, but they look like this and they feel like this. And I kind of think I've connected with them before. So I'm interested to know what you think. That they are essentially a pre-civilization of Sirius from Sirius B. And I know I have a connection to Sirius, so it makes sense to me that I have connected with them, maybe not consciously or unknowingly connected with them. They're here to help us to move into the understanding of the galactic part we have to play and to release our fear of continued cooperation and contact. Okay, that's the end of quote on that one. And that means they're here to help us want to connect with aliens, to release all of those concepts and ideas that come from Hollywood, the aliens are out to get us. And of course, the word aliens in and of itself is something they don't like because that means other and foreigner, and they are our family, is really what they are. She then goes on to talk about the Arcturians, which, as many of you know, I'm extremely familiar with. That is my family. I have a soul aspect that is Arcturian, and I did an Arcturian gathering for a long time. I've channeled the 9th density Arcturians. You can look up a little bit more about what I've done with the Arcturians down below. I'll put some links to some of my Arcturian transmissions, light language, and then just information that the 9th density Arcturians brought through. You know, Daniel Scranton is another wonderful source for Arcturian transmissions. If you don't follow him already, he is on Instagram and all kinds of places, and he's really great. I love how she mentioned that they come through as like 3D crop circles. And for me, they always come through like sacred geometry. So that made complete sense to me. She says that Arcturians are from a star system and a star called Arcturus. Many of you have probably seen that before up in the sky as you're stargazing. Arcturus is a fifth dimensional civilization, a prototype for our future Earth. It is an energy gateway through which humans pass during death and rebirth. It functions as a way station for non-physical consciousness to become accustomed to physicality. Arcturus is approximately 36 light years from Earth, and the Arcturian starships encircle the Earth to monitor our progress and help us with our spiritual evolution. They can be called upon by anyone who so wishes for healing. They will take you to their healing capsules on their planet and work on your etheric, mental, and emotional bodies if you ask for them to. I'm going to stop right there with that one. So that one resonates like 100% with me. I have had so many sessions where I take people to the Arcturian healing chambers. There was this whole period of time where that was my go-to. I would always take people to the Arcturian healing chambers. In fact, that's why I ended up making those light language transmissions that you might have seen on my podcast, on my YouTube, where I'm actually channeling their light language to help attune different parts of the body. They are very skilled and very gifted, and they have very advanced light technology to help us with the transition from the carbon-based life form to the silica-based life form into a crystalline light body, essentially. And so I want to encourage you also to connect with them. I'm going to kind of go ahead and move through now to the Pleiadians. And she says, Pleiadians resemble humans to such a degree, it is said that we can rarely tell one from the other. They are very beautiful, tall, well-formed, and fair in skin and hair, blue in eyes. They have incredible skin, absolutely radiant, and are extremely long-lived. They have long fingers, feet, hands, and limbs, and look faintly bizarre due to their size, which is very tall and large. They are slim, small-breasted, and quite straight up and down. They are very beautiful, almost like a kind of superhuman. This reminds me a little bit of the elves in The Lord of the Rings. They honestly do. Their language is like water running over rocks, natural sounds. Heartbeat is able to be heard from the outside. Their energy is strong and bright, and their presence can create physical healings and sometimes pain as their frequency is so high. We share a great deal of our cellular matrix or DNA with them. They are helping to bring in great advancements in the use of light, holograms, and laser technology. They were the first humanoid society to develop hyperspace travel and claim that their technology surpasses ours by about 3,000 years. They're from the 7-star system known as the Pleiades and have been worked with by the indigenous peoples of our planet since pre-ancient times. I'll go ahead and step in right here. So, as many of you heard me say, the Pleiadian star mothers were really the main race that seeded and taught the Lemurians, okay? And so that being said, I always feel their presence when we're doing Lemurian work. I always feel their presence as well as Syrian, which is the next race that she talks about. And it was really cool because I always feel like there's this connection between the Pleiadians and the Syrians. My guides keep saying that in Lemuria, there was a Syrian Stargate. And a lot of this, I think, is really connected to my upcoming, with my friend Queenie, we are hosting a Lemurian retreat in Hawaii. The title of the retreat, the name that we gave the retreat, which I think is very important, is the New Golden Age of Lemuria. And rather than do this as like a small retreat for like 10 people, 15 people, we really felt drawn from our guides that this needed to be a conference style retreat. And the funny thing is I was like, wow, this is like my first big retreat out of the country, or not really out of the country, but off the mainland, right? And I was like, how am I going to do this? And I just know it. I just know this is bigger than I think it's going to be. The topic is what's bigger. And so what we've done is we've called in some amazing colleagues to come into this space and into this container to co-create and present and channel. Just channel. We're going to be channeling and channeling and channeling all kinds of information from our star family, from the Lemurians, and what we were told, which is so incredible. We had a connecting little session with each other. It was myself, my friend Queenie, and Flo Karuna of Starseed Codes. If you follow him, he's incredible and a channeler as well. We had a preparatory meeting. And rather than describe for you the intention and the real purpose behind this conference that we're doing in Kauai in September of 2023, I literally want you to feel and hear us channel in real time. So I'm going to add a little soundbite here. You'll be joining us about halfway through the conversation. So it kind of is a popping in point that you'll notice it was in the middle of a thought. But still, it'll give you the idea of what was happening. And it was such a powerful download. I just really want you to have a glimpse of it. So here we go.
This is JJ, and I feel drawn to call in. They are absolutely anxious and ready and willing for us and waiting for our call. The octopi, the jellyfish, they are offering to assist with the calibration of the waters, for it is necessary that the waters be calibrated prior to our arrival in order for the ocean to fully receive what we are going to be bringing through. And so over the next several months, along with obviously the whales and the dolphins, but I actually feel the whales and the dolphins have a role. The octopi and the jellyfish will be calibrating the grid. The dolphins and the whales are astral traveling to planets, mainly Sirius, and there's others, but mainly Sirius, and they're more transporters right now than they are calibrating. So they're astral projecting, and what they say is happening is they are being a little more subdued right now, because most of them are leaving the body to go get the codes and bring them back. That's why they're not doing as much of the calibrating work as the octopi. And then I don't feel light codes coming through at this moment for us. They just would like to provide us with that information. If I do have light codes come through later, I will send them to the group. I am complete.
Just open our heart spaces. Feeling our heart energies merge into the sacred center. Asking for these wise, divine, benevolent frequencies. They're uniting us all to flow through our veins. Flow through our veins and anchor us into Pachamama, Malakaya. And asking for the secrets of Pachamama to open, for us to receive them through our nervous system, by our feet, to unlock ourselves, unlock DNA, unlock energy and information, and fully unlock the Akash of Lemuria. And just feeling the dragons of Middle Gaia, Middle Earth, flowing through from the soil. Allowing these dragon codes flow through our being, through our body, to the central sun, through our central sun, and the universal central sun. Just giving gratitude for these codes, source codes, in the new time. And each and every one of you for being so divine, such holy channels, chalices of spirit, for your cups to be filled with sound currents. Just giving gratitude. And just echoing JJ, just giving thanks to the Syrian beings that I feel. The codes of Sirius are so interwoven with Lemuria and the dawning of our earthly story. So thank you, Great Spirit. Look forward to the lotus unfolding. Infinite blessings.
Ooh, wasn't that powerful? Just let that soak in for a moment longer. I hope that gives you a taste of just what we will be bringing through at this conference in Hawaii. I absolutely know that for some people who are feeling the call, that the way will be created for them to attend. But I do want you to know that if you don't attend in person, we actually have the capability of doing virtual live streaming, so you can attend virtually. Yay! And please make sure you check out all the details below about the conference. Again, I just don't have any words. I can feel the power of it, but it's almost just so hard to put into words. I think that soundbite was indicative of, to a little tiny degree, what will be coming through as we channel live during the conference. I do have to bring this full circle because even though it felt like these two topics maybe were a little bit separate, even though I didn't really talk about the part of the book of the Lost Lands where she talks about Lemuria, I do want to make sure I mention she talks about the whales and the dolphins in the book. And of course, they came through. And so I actually read the book after we had this channeling session, and a whole bunch of stuff was confirmed for me. But one of the quotes, she says, "The dolphins were educators in the oceanic school and could communicate via sonar as they do now. These sonar pulses drive through the oceanic song lines or ley lines of the planet and reach far beyond into the stars as a form of galactic communication." And of course, for me, they're totally connected to Sirius. I know many of you who are connected to dolphins are Sirian starseeds. Also, we have Mintakan starseeds, which are connected to Sirian starseeds. I also feel that the Pleiadians are connected to Sirius. And there are so many different things in this book. I plan on doing a second Ascension School episode to cover more because I didn't even talk about Avalon. And wow, the section on Avalon in this book was so powerful for me. It actually activated past life regression inside me and quite a bit of emotion regarding the lands of Avalon. And there was just a time period where essentially, many of you know, when the Romans came along and ended up basically razing all of the sacred groves, all of the divine feminine was wiped out by the church. There's so much to that history that has trauma. And so I'm finding healing. And that's what we did at the past life regression. I think we were really shifting people into the healed golden age energies of Avalon so that we can release any trauma we have from many lives. I think like a lot of people spent lives as warriors and kind of in a fighting mode. And I know I've talked about this before, but there are many of us who are being called to put down our swords. It's time to release the template of a warrior and being in battle and to embrace a different template. The one that I feel that a lot of people are being called to embrace is that of a teacher. And so if that's you, just think about that for a moment. Start to lean into that. It's time. Spirit keeps telling people over and over again, and I'm not kidding you. I feel like a broken record. You are ready, and it is time. You are ready, and it is time. I know they're helping people release that feeling of imposter syndrome. You are natural channelers. You open your mouth and it will come out. You don't even have to have it prepared or ready. Lots of times when I go sit down to do my gatherings, I surrender completely to Spirit, try to make myself the clearest channel I possibly can, and then just let it flow. And I 100% know I'm not the only person that has access to this. Every single one of you listening has access to that same thing. That is why I feel so passionately about empowering you. And that is why I did my recent psychic activation workshop. I wish I could do a whole recap about that. I will have that psychic activation workshop available for replay. It's not finished yet. It happens on the 23rd and 30th of April. So if you're listening to that before those times, you won't see it on my website, but you will eventually. Probably about the first or second week of May 2023, that psychic activation workshop will be there. And it was incredible as well. Like I just wish I could start off and tell you all about it, but we're at the end of the episode. I want to make sure that I give a big shout out to my friend Queenie. Although you did not hear her in this particular soundbite, I know that you heard her in a previous episode where I interviewed her. And I also am so grateful for Flo Karuna and his willingness to come through and channel and co-create with us at our upcoming New Golden Age of Lemuria conference in Hawaii. I would love to gather with any of you there, either in person or virtually. You can find out more again in the comment section below. If you would like to read the book, The Lost Lands, there is a link below to be able to access that. I always find Kindle's easiest for me, and I get it in 2 seconds because I'm super impatient. Not to mention the fact that I want to make sure you know my May monthly energy update is coming up soon. Please keep an eye out for that. If you want to know right when it gets released, make sure you sign up for my mailing list by going to activationswithjj.com and signing into that form. And you'll find out all about all of what's coming, what's new, before anybody else does. All right, my friends, thank you so much. I really appreciate any likes that you can give to this YouTube video, a follow. And don't forget, I am gathering questions for an upcoming episode where I will be addressing any questions that were placed into the comments of a YouTube video. Or if you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you leave me a review, you can drop your questions in there. I will be addressing those questions in a podcast episode in the next couple of weeks. I'm just collecting a few more, so please keep an eye out for that. And finally, I promise there's always like the next thing and then the next thing. It's like I cannot bring it to closure. But I don't want you to forget I've got 3 gatherings coming up this weekend if you're listening to it right when I publish it. On Saturday, April 29th at 4 p.m. Pacific, we have our Galactic Family Gathering. On the 30th, we have our Atlantean Golden Age Gathering at noon Pacific time. And then at 5 Pacific time, we have our Fairies, Dragons, and Elementals gathering. So I've got 3 gatherings coming up this weekend. Would love to co-create with you there. Check out all of the information below. My friends, as always, this podcast would not exist without you. I am so grateful for you, for this community. I am sending you so much love from the bottom of my heart, the deepest gratitude, and reminding you, as always, that I am you and you are me, and we are we. Until next time, my dear friends.